Now we'll move to the next speaker, Mr. Pramod Kumar. The title of the presentation is IEEE Blended Learning Program. Mr. Pramod Kumar currently looks after the IEEE Blended Learning Program and IEEE Computer Society's activities in India. Mr. Pramod is an MBA graduate. He brings over 17 years of industry experience in the e-learning and educational technology domain. He has been part of developing and delivering products and solutions for the educational market in India and abroad. Mr. Pramod is currently leading the IEEE internship and skill development program and university partnerships under the umbrella of the IEEE Blended Learning Program. He has been working with 50 plus institutions in India for the adoption of IEEE e-learning products and services. May I request you, sir, to kindly start your presentation.
A warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for the opportunity. The organizing team. Can you please, allow me to share this my presentation? Yes, I think I can share. Yeah, thank you. Yes. Okay. So, once again, a warm welcome to all of you. Please, acknowledge if you can see my screen over here.
You can see.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the acknowledgement. So I'm Pramod. I'm a staff of IEEE. I take care of IEEE Computer Society activities for India and also look after the educational, especially on the e-learning side and digital library for the Indian market. So to begin, I would just take maybe a couple of minutes of your time to just brush your memory, because I know all of you are aware about IEEE, or maybe that's my assumption. If not, I'll just take a minute to brush your memory, because whatever I'm going to talk about the blended learning program and its attribution, and then the strength of BLP, these facts really help for you to understand. So IEEE is a purely not-for-profit organization with over 137 years of history in the technical space. That means whatever we do, when there is a technology aspect involved, we are there for a significant contribution back to the society. IEEE focuses on many things. You might have heard about the IEEE conferences, IEEE workshop, IEEE's FDP, IEEE, many things. But IEEE predominantly focuses on two things. One, defining engineering standards, where all the IEEE standards comes into place. It could be 802.11 series of Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, TCP/IP, and hundreds of telecom standards. And even today, on the IoT side, or security side, or smart grid side, there are a lot of standards coming up. And the other portion, the significant contribution, is towards creating technical learning. So today, we have close to about 5 million, or maybe I would say more than 4 million documents in our digital repository, wherein the conference proceedings, journals, transactions, publications are all part of it. On the other hand, under the education umbrella, we have the technical learning solutions. And the product, the IEEE Blended Learning Program, which I'm going to talk about in the next 30 minutes, is significantly been contributed by IEEE volunteers who are members of IEEE. Like we have close to about 500,000 members worldwide. That includes 117,000 student members. That means right from their graduation, they are associated with IEEE in one or the other way to get abreast with the latest happening and the technology involvement and all of that. So IEEE has 39 societies and 7 technical councils, wherein each society focuses on its own domain. For example, if you come across any content or any educational courses from IEEE on, let's say, software, automation, power and energy, telecom, IoT, and all of that. So each society focuses on its own domain. For example, IEEE Computer Society focuses on anything and everything related to computing, application, development, automation, and all of that. Wherein Power and Energy Society, Communication Society, Signal Processing Society, Robotics Society, and so on, they focus on its own domain and brings in a lot of content contributing to IEEE learning. So we have 334 sections and 2,110 chapters and presence in 163 countries. That means sections are geographical units. So in India, we have 13 sections and 14 subsections. So each section focuses on IEEE activities for that region. So it could be Bangalore section, Hyderabad section, Delhi section, Madras section, so on. There are about 13. We have 3,000 student branches in 80 countries. That means IEEE's presence in so many colleges. So right from there, like I said, now the academic engagement, they also conduct a lot of workshops, conferences, international conferences, hackathons, and many other things in association with IEEE. And for that, IEEE student branches are created in colleges. Like I mentioned, over 4 million documents is, that's a repository we have in our digital library that brings high, level of, content in terms of, technical content in terms of the conference proceedings, journals, publications, periodicals, white papers, and all of that. And this is really helping a lot of, research scholars and faculties to publish their papers, to refer to citation, and all of that. IEEE publishes over 180 journals and magazines, and you might have heard about IEEE Spectrum, which is one of the flagship magazines of IEEE. And whatever sci-fi movies and some futuristic technology movies or contents we are seeing, at least the proof of concept gets published in Spectrum, much before. So IEEE sponsors about 1,800 conferences worldwide. That means at least 5 to 6 conferences happening somewhere, some or the other way, other places across the globe. That is the kind of quality conferences that IEEE has been bringing and developing the content. So moving on, talking about IEEE Blended Learning Program, this is a unique or indigenous product or solution that IEEE has developed, considering what is required in the industry. Everybody talks about there is a gap between industry and academy and all of that. So when we do a root cause analysis, what are the challenges that are being faced by the academic institutions and even the companies? Because once they hire the creamy graduates from the colleges, they spend significant amount of their time and effort in training them for next 2 semesters. That means their 8th semester happens in their engineering, and 9th and 10th semester happens in the industry. Significant amount of time and effort is being spent. And these days, no industry, the companies doesn't want to spend that much of money and effort and also time in training these students. They expect students to come with some skill set, learn these concepts at their graduation level through along with their academy curriculum, and then get industry ready. So for that, because we have members from both academy and industry, volunteers from both academy and industry, and subject matter experts from both the fields, we get a lot of inputs on the challenges, pain points, and what could be the best solution that can be brought into bridge this gap. So IEEE BLP is a blended learning program. That means it is not just an e-learning; it also has e-labs, because in most of the places there are lack of infrastructure in the colleges where they don't have a proper lab and required atmosphere or environment for students to learn the concepts. So in that way, IEEE thought to did a root cause analysis and all of that, then finally figured out that yes, not to why should a student deprive of the knowledge and the technology or infrastructure. So for that reason, IEEE developed the solution along with the hands-on experiences, e-labs, and adaptive assessment. So BLP, the Blended Learning Program, offers the complete, not just the skill set, the skill building courses along with the supplementary and complementary learning within the campus. So these courses are created not by 1 or 2 authors. These courses are created by hundreds of authors and reviewed by hundreds of volunteers worldwide. That means that is a kind of expertise or knowledge as a subject matter expertise it brings in to the table when the content is developed. And like I mentioned, these subject matter expertise, they are from both industry and academia. The people who have got a knowledge, authoritative knowledge on those subjects. It could be on IoT or a software engineering or machine learning, deep learning, blockchain, cybersecurity, VLSI, EMI, EMC, IMIP, any course for that that is mattered. So the subject matter expertise, like the teaching fraternities in the academia and the industry experts, basically the IEEE volunteers, we create a platform for them to come and discuss and then create the curriculum and then design the content, the courses. And once that is done, it goes to the content development team to bring in animations, multimedia, multimedia rich content, voiceover, interactivity, exercises, glossaries, lot many things to make it a very a very legitimate e-learning content. So everybody says that there are a lot of contents available on the internet. It could be on YouTube or it could be on many other platforms. But what differentiates IEEE BLP is that these are from the subject matter expertise from the industry and academia, and not just from one or two authors. And like for example, in YouTube, even I can create my own lectures, and I can capture my lecture and post it. But who will authenticate it, or who will legitimate it, what one should learn or what one should teach? So IEEE cannot mandate it, but at least IEEE can design a guideline. So these courses are designed in that way. And like I said, the courses are designed to bridge the gap between the university education and industry needs, wherein IEEE has its presence in academia and industry at a very grassroots level. And we know the pain points, we know the challenges and all of that. And after thorough research and all of that, these courses were designed. And if you look at the courses that I'm going to show in a couple of slides later, we have not taken everything which we can create and make it available for the students or faculty. We want to create the courses which are very much required in the industry, and there are opportunity available, and industries are looking for those kind of skill set before hiring. So I'll just take you through that. So the pedagogy is very important before creating any content. So every company or every college or every learning and development team in the industry, they follow certain pedagogies. So likewise, IEEE blended learning program follows a staged pedagogy, wherein our tagline itself says learn, apply, and build. That means what you learn, how you learn, and why this not something else is very important when somebody is learning a concept. But to just give you an example, as a student, if I'm learning algorithm concept, I should know where it is applied, how this is applied, and why this not something else. It could be on data structure, it could be on programming fundamentals, it could be on VLSI, RTL design, anything for that matter. As a learner, I should be able to know and understand that I'm learning this concept, and this is how the industry uses it. This is where it has been applied. This is how the applications are built. So that is very important in the first phase. Second phase, when you're learning, you should learn the concepts with applications in mind. There should be a lot of case studies, use cases, industry practices. This is where the SMEs and IEEE volunteers from the industry bring in value addition. They provide a lot of case studies saying that, this is on the microcontroller, this is on some application built on drone to make it an IoT enabled application or a device. So a lot of industries problem statements and applications and case studies are being involved to develop these concepts. And while they learn these concepts, they learn the concepts with a lot of applications attached to it. And then there is a lab exercises, like I mentioned, the e-labs, because a lot of things, there are lack of infrastructure and other things, and even lack of industry, dearth of industry experienced faculty. Students or learner will not be able to apply those concepts and make a real-time application. For that, we have e-lab exercises built onto it, and there is an adaptive assessment which is very important. Like the other speaker mentioned just before. When a student learns everything, then the right question is what next? Is there a certification exam, or is that something at least a self-assessment tool? So IEEE BLP programs have both. It has adaptive assessment. That means the way that the questions are being answered, based on that the questions are getting populated. That means it starts from the basic difficulty level, and the difficulty level increases as and when they keep answering the questions. And based on their learnability and their understanding, the questions are the questions get populated. If they continuously give wrong answers, then the tool will ask them to visit those particular topic at whatever page number and all of that, and ask them to go through it and come back and take up the assessment. This is point number one. Second, there are certification exams in IEEE as well. For example, the Software Engineering Body of Knowledge, it's a flagship program under BLP, wherein that has been adopted by around 14 NITs and 4 IIITs and several technical institutes in India, not just that, even in abroad, and companies like Infosys, Cisco, ABB, Siemens, and all of them, they have adopted in their L&D program. And in Siemens, it's one of the mandatory program because there are 3 levels of certifications, wherein it's 0 to 2 years experience, 3 to 5, and 5+ years experience professionals. And when it comes to academia, undergrad, postgrad, and faculties can take up. I mean to say, when they learn, they have a roadmap, what to do, and where to move ahead. So this is a snapshot of our BLP platform. Like I mentioned, there's the first part is the e-learning course, online course, and there's very lot of interactivity on the screen where one can just not skip any slide or what do you call, drag the player and say that okay, I'm going to finish it faster. So each and every activity needs to be taken up. It says click on each of the steps and learn. And then at the bottom there are a lot of icons available like glossary, points to remember, the keywords, and then narrations, all of that. Once that has been done, and on the right hand side you can also see every concept and sub-concept level, the thumbnails are available for the atomic structure learning. And next to that online courses, there are e-labs, and then there is an assessment happening for the self-assessment program. Once it is done, so while we were developing these courses, in fact, now the BLP programs were we started developing from VLSI courses way back in some 6-7 years ago, more than that, by the way. During that period, we didn't think through, we should develop a skill development program. But during the evolution of this BLP, we started creating or updating our content compliant to NSQF and NOS. So the IoT courses or software engineering courses and a couple of other courses what we see in BLP, they're all compliant to NSQF, National Skill Qualification Framework, or the NOS, National Occupational Standards, that is being defined by NSDC. So the reason why we created this skill development program was that when if we are not getting the industry ready what do you call resource, then again we are missing something. It is not just a gap between industry or academia, it is between what is being learned or what is being taught and what is being going to they will be put under different projects and the expectations are different. So in order to build that gap and also train a lot of the faculty who doesn't come from the industry. I mean, of course, we cannot expect everybody to come from the industry, but at least the sort of industry experience is very much required to know what is happening, what are the standards available for these courses, what are the best practices for these development requirements and all of that. So that is very much required. So BLP provides a supplementary learning materials for faculty. We conduct a lot of FDPs associated with this. And FDP, faculty development program, is part and parcel of this program. And whoever adopts BLP, we make sure that we first train the faculty to do a TTT, then ask students to take up and learn. And of course, due to the absence of globally accepted assessment and certification programs, IEEE defined some guidelines for software engineering, IoT, MIMC, and so on and so forth, and has imparted those what do you call the criteria for these courses. And of course, lack of hands-on experience in both faculty and student is really impacting their career. And yes, application-based learning was very much important. So just to give you insight, one of the courses that the IEEE BLP has, like IoT program, that is been now widely adopted by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology to train about 15,000 students across 3 years, and for the next 3 years on the IoT program for about 280 hours of learning. And not just that, even the SWIWalk. So these are the courses. I will just give you some snapshot. IoT programs, we have courses from Node, Gateway, and Application, that is cloud. That means if somebody wants to learn and get abreast with what is happening, and if I as a learner, if I want to develop some application for a wearables, it could be on smartphone or smartwatch or node level of equipments, they will be able to do it. So there are drone-based applications, there are mobile-based application courses are available. So right from the introduction till they develop an application for an IoT-based device, they can learn everything over here. And in fact, proud to say this course is also developed in association with CDAC, Bangalore. CDAC has some, kind of a diploma course on IoT. And what we have done, the courses are available in bits and pieces, but IEEE brought in volunteers together and evaluated the content, and also value added to these courses to make it, a complete suite of IoT, which can be offered to any academic institutions in India and abroad. SWBOC is a software engineering body of knowledge which comes with 3 certificate program, that is IEEE certificate program. In fact, there are about 100 to 200 companies worldwide. They have posted in their job portals saying that they prefer to hire SWBOC certified engineers, including a few companies in India. For example, like I said, in Siemens, it's a mandatory program. Whoever joins Siemens, whether it's a lateral hire or campus selection, they have to go through this program called Focus, and that Focus program is completely based on SWBOC. And so SWBOC certificate program is for undergraduates. CSDA, Certified Software Development Associate, is for post-graduation students, and CSDP is for research scholars and faculty. And similarly, in the corporate is for 0 to 2 years experience professional, 3 to 5 and 5+ years. So this is the guideline which IEEE has defined as a body of knowledge, by the way, wherein there was no guideline as such for a software engineering, because the moment the students are graduated from computer science or information science, they used to assume themselves as they are a software engineers, but in reality they're just a programmers. So in order to become a real software engineer, one has to go through these 15 knowledge areas which have been listed out here. So these 15 knowledge areas are the must to learn to become a true or real software engineers. Then we have a course on EMI/EMC, that is electromagnetic interface or electromagnetic compatibility. These days, the buzzword is EV, electrical vehicles. So electrical vehicles comes with a lot of equipments and electronic components, and the interface and compatibility are very much important. And not just that, even a medical electronics, medical equipments, and all of that. For that, my EMI/EMC courses are important. And then VLSI, of course, I don't need to talk about VLSI because there's a lot of semiconductor companies. They look for VLSI learners. IPR, Intellectual Property Rights and Innovation Management System, which is kind of a very important topic, but in India it is not taken that traction, because if you look at US and Europe, intellectual properties and innovation management is kind of a mandatory program, because if anybody wants to get onto research, or if you want to become an entrepreneur, this course is very, very much required. It talks about IP commercialization, copyrights, patents, filing, applying for different IP rights and all of that. Then we have Wi-Fi BWCN, that is Building Wireless Community Network. So currently, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has provided this course to field level technicians to implement the BharatNet, that is a fiber net connectivity in the Gram Panchayat level, where every village is should get minimum 5 connections, and the field level executives or field level technicians should know minimum basic criteria of Wi-Fi configuration, access point configuration, all of that. And this is a part of MIT's engagement. And of course, we have courses on the ML, cybersecurity, blockchain, POSH, anti-hacking, and so on and so forth. This is one of the skill development program which I just mentioned, wherein MIT has adopted, wherein we launched it in July. And so far, there are about 4,077 students who have got registered to this program. The program is on an upskilling program on software IoT and embedded application IoT, wherein AICTE also joined hands with IEEE to provide a registration platform, so that all their engineering college students should be able to access it and register through this portal. And this is going on, and currently this program is for scheduled caste and scheduled tribe learners or students across India, because this has been funded by the MIT program. And slowly we're also getting into all other category students, because one should not get deprived of the content and learning. And like I mentioned, whatever courses we create, before that we make an assessment of what are the job opportunities available for any of these learnings. It could be software engineering or IoT or EMI/EMC. So here you look at for VLSI and EMI/EMC, this is a kind of the opportunities available, where it is not taken from any job board. This is taken from the news articles which are which were published over the net and other channels, and the kind of investments and fab plans coming into India, it is really going to make a huge impact. And students and they should know where they can fit better in as per their knowledge. And if they're lacking in that way, then probably they have to upskill and reskill their knowledge. And so at the end of every learning on every course, for example, IoT has about 8 to 12 courses, and at the end of every course, student gets a completion certificate. And if somebody wants to get really certified program, IEEE certification exam, they have to appear for IEEE certification exam and then get certified. And those certificate numbers will also be listed in IEEE or IEEE Computer Society, so that if a company or any recruiter wants to legitimate or authenticate whether it is or verify the legitimacy of those certificates, they can visit IEEE site and do that. So the completion certificate is part of the program. As soon as they're completed, they get the certificate at the end of the learning. And on the partnership as such, like IEEE, though it's a voluntary driven organization, not for profit organization, being a staff, I cannot contribute to create the content. So staff cannot contribute, staff cannot review. So in any way, I cannot directly get onto the content creation or content development or content review. So we have to work with so many such organizations who are currently working on this area, and we have got an authoritative knowledge on those things. So we have partnership for the content with CDAC, RVVLSI, IAMS and Hertz, Lockubator, and a few other companies, wherein these companies they have their own caliber and expertise in the limited areas, and we have partnered with them. And not just that, like as far as the digital library and a couple of other programs are concerned, IEEE brings in its own strength and value addition. So, and not just that, through our sections, student branches, and chapters and IEEE channels, we promote these courses, so that we have opened up both retail and institutional models, where a student, if somebody wants to just take up the course and learn, and then get industry ready, they can visit IEEE blended learning program website, take up the course and learn. If an institute wants to adopt it as an institutional engagement, IEEE provides the course access to all of them without any limitation, where institution can give access to a number of students within their campus, even for the faculty, and it is an ongoing process. So we have many universities and technical institutions in India who have adopted this. In fact, a lot of institutions also setting up center of excellence on the courses that we have, so that our courses complements and becomes kind of a prerequisite courses for them to use the lab. Point number one. Point number two, I think about 15 hours of learning gives them a credit of 2 credit points. So our courses have been adopted in that way, where every student, some of the colleges are also making it mandatory to go through this e-learning and get the credit codes. So with that, I will end up my presentation, and these are all the testimonials from the industry where the BLP has been adopted. It was provided to their professionals, and there was a significant positive feedback from them, and it's a partial list of the testimonials. So with that, I end my presentation, and I hope that this was informational. And if you require any additional information on the BLP, you can also reach out to me anytime. So probably I can display my email ID, or even the organizers have it. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to take it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pramod. Thank you for sharing your experiences on IEEE blended learning and outcome-based approach and various courses offered as part of IEEE BLP program. I think we don't have any question now, so it is 3:30 almost.
Yeah.
So
thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for your time.
Thank you, Pramod. Thank you once again.